It is Friday, 18th of August, 2023. It has just gone 7 p.m. We're actually a little bit more on time than we normally are. Hey, welcome to the Synth Network show live. We're coming to you at just gone 7 p.m. here in the UK, and this is episode 176. And we've got lots to talk about, and I hope you had a fantastic week since we were last here. And I'm officially on my hollybobs now, so I have 2 weeks off from the day job, which doesn't mean that I get to put my feet up much, but hopefully a little bit, and a little bit of a slightly increased alcohol consumption maybe, and food consumption. Going to a barbie on Sunday, the first barbie of the summer. And is it nearly the end of August? Wow. Anyway, before we crack on and before we meet everybody else that's on the show, let me just get through some of the boring stuff. Please do like, comment, subscribe, and share. Not all share, and share. Do all of those things in that order. Do it now if you haven't already. That would be most appreciated. If you haven't already seen us, well, you're probably in for a mild surprise. Surprisingly bad this show can be. The pro certainly doesn't stand for professional, I can guarantee you that much. But if you are a regular viewer, subscriber, commenter, etc., welcome back. Thank you. We appreciate your patronage, and welcome to everybody that's in the chat. I won't name you all because there's lots of you, but you know we love you, so thank you very much for joining. Right, what else have we got? Oh yeah, of course, if you want to follow us on social media, if that's your want, then we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, where the main page is and where most of us gather during the week to just, natter and chatter. And of course we're here on Facebook as well. We're streaming live right now on Facebook, on YouTube. We're streaming live on there now, as most of you are probably well aware, but we also stream on Facebook. We also stream on Twitter, or X, or whatever it's called. Actually no, I should change that, shouldn't I? Because it's not Twitter anymore. It's X formerly known as Twitter. So we'll just do that. And now we have the better banner. There you go.
Oh,
you see,
that was quick.
live on air.
Yeah.
We can get onto Threads, but I can't manage multiple accounts at the moment on Threads. So we will get on there at some point if that's where you'd like to go and do your things. If you've got fed up with X like I have, I tend to hang out there a bit more. We also stream on Twitch as well. So if you are a Twitcher, I think that has a number of different meanings depending on where you're from. If you're a Twitcher, then you can watch us live on there. And unfortunately, we don't have all the fancy cross-posting chat things, so you'll only see the people chatting in your particular box. So if you think that nobody's talking to you on Twitch, maybe pop over to YouTube. I don't know. That might work. Until we get into that position, maybe we'll have to bribe Wagyu and see if he can loan us his code that he does for Sonic State. If you have a comment or a question, and I'm sure you do, about anything that we discussed today or anything in general, maybe you'd like to know the recipe for my mother's spaghetti bolognese. I can't tell you because it's a closely protected family secret and I would have to kill you. So, but you can ask it, and if you want to do that, stick a big capital Q in front of your question or your comment just so that we can see it, and we'll put it into the bucket, which we then ignore. No, we don't. We use that and we bring your questions in as and when appropriate. If you want to make a donation to the show, don't like to do this bit, but hey, a lot of people ask us. You can do that through PayPal. There's the link. There's a clickable link in the description below the video, or you can use Super Chat, Super Stickers, or the thanks button. And the thanks button is especially for those people who are watching on catch up, who didn't make the show live for whatever reason it might be. They might be out at the pub, they might be at a birthday party, or they might have just fallen asleep in front of the sofa, or on the sofa in front of the TV, or the fire. If it's cold where you are, I don't know, maybe there's somebody. Because Australia doesn't get very cold in the winter, does it? It's still quite warm. Anyway, it's their winter at the moment. I just thought I'd let you know. Rands doesn't look very chilly when he does his show on a Saturday, which he's doing again tomorrow. By the way, see you there. That's enough rambling from me. I'm going to bring in my colleagues. They're my colleagues. They're my friends. Some of them might be my lovers. We haven't seen this guy for a couple of weeks, so let's just get him on and get him out of the way. It's you, Ben Simpson. How are you?
I'm in the middle of something here, but go on.
shut the porn down.
I was going to ask a question.
Oh, go on then.
No, it's all right. I just wanted your missus' recipe for that pasta she made.
Oh, no. Can't do that. Can't do it.
Oh, that's not spaghetti bolognese, though, is it? Similar.
What do you mean?
It's not a family recipe, is it?
Yeah. It's my nonna's recipe.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, I know she's not here
to make.
Yeah. like my nonna used to make, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes about 3 or 4 hours to make.
Well, it's good to be back anyway. I've had a fairly work-dominated week, really. I haven't been able to do any synthesizing as such, so I'm a bit disappointed about that. But when we've introduced everybody else, I have got a question to pose to the three of you. If you
okay. All right then.
It wasn't me. I've never done it.
Well, if you
no.
if you don't put a Q in front of it, we won't see it. So
yeah.
Okay.
I'll deliberately ignore it.
Yeah. Remind me, and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Good to see you again, mate.
Nice
always
one.
good to see you. Nice to have you back. Let's now go geographically. I have to figure out where this guy is. I don't know. He's in somewhere. He's very poorly lit. It's Andrew Longhurst. How are you?
I'm very poorly lit.
He's
Can
not
I have,
th- he's not
can I
looked
have
as
your
close
wife?
up.
Can I have your family's recipe for chicken tikka masala?
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah.
I'll give you a phone number. You just dial it and they come and deliver it.
That works. That works.
How are you, sir?
I'm very poorly lit. Hang on a minute. Let's just. There we go. Oh, we're experimenting. We'll get there in the end.
Does look a bit.
Will.
Yeah, it looks a bit creepy in there.
It does. It does.
And that's just not because you're in it, but you know. Busy week.
There we go. Yeah, been a very busy week. We've been just been really busy with all sorts of stuff, but primarily tied up with trying to get the sort of pre-work done on all the funding for the mill, and we're asking lots of people for letters of support saying we're worthy of supporting so we can get some grants, and we're just starting the whole process of getting the social medias and everything running. And I thought I was pretty good at socials. I don't have a fricking clue. I really don't. It took me about 6 hours to try and get registered with Twitter. And I didn't want to get registered with Twitter because I'd already cut myself off from it. But there we go. It's now registered there, and we've got Insta and Facebook and all those things. Frome Hall Mill, if anyone's interested. Frome Hall Mill Community Benefit Society. There you go.
Yeah, there's your plug.
There's
right.
my plug.
Good to see you, mate. Well done. Thank you very much.
You
and
too.
thanks for coming. And last but by no means first, Mr. Kent Spong.
He's
busy
well.
rolling his cigarette. He's rolling his fags.
What do you want now?
He's well.
Bloody hell, I can't do anything there. Then people. How you doing? All right.
Yeah, all right. You?
Yeah, but a bloody horrible day.
Oh dear.
Yeah. It involves a GS1 and a hammer.
Oh no! Come on! Don't tell me that GS1's not working now.
No, it's not working now.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Yeah.
You've got until Wednesday.
Bank A has gone. Bye. And we just don't know. It's like, what? So guess what I'm doing all day tomorrow instead of writing music?
Well, just that you're doing it for me as well. You see, because it's got to be working.
Doing it for the £10,000 repair bill.
Well,
but it's for you. Yeah,
it's for me. It's for me.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah,
for you.
Other than
By
that,
the
all well?
way,
yes, all perpendicular.
Jolly good.
Apart from Fiona cooked me pork tonight.
Oh,
it's like being back in the 70s again. Even Siri turned her nose up at it.
Yeah, Siri's come out in sympathy.
You don't feel well now, do you, darling?
Oh, bless.
No.
Oh,
there
well.
we go.
So, all good. And you lot all okay?
Seem to be. Yeah.
Good,
Yes.
good.
Still here.
Make an indication about the delicious donation Steve just made of 50.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
$50, man.
There you go. 50
Yeah.
Australian ass dollars.
78
Ass dollars.
$dollars.
Yeah, look,
78 pence. That's a good amount of money
know.
in Australia.
Cheers, mate.
I did a moon pig today in Australia for somebody's birthday, and and I've forgotten that I'd click. And when I got the price up, I thought, how much for a card? I thought, oh yeah, you got to divide it by 2 to get it into UK pounds. So then it wasn't too bad. But yeah, good old Moonpig. Anyway, talking of donations, thank you very much as always, Stephen. You are super generous, and we appreciate it. Thank you all. But also, there was Steve Sims in the chat. Is PSN on my phone whilst he's parked up at a German service station. We shall not ask any more questions.
Okay then.
Parked up at a German service station. Yeah. Okie dokie. Whatever you say. Thank you very much anyway for watching and tuning in whilst you're so far away from home. Jason wants to know when we're getting a camera fly around Ben's new studio. Mr. Simpson?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet because there's still bits not wired up and it's a bit embarrassing, you know what I mean? It's all facade, this.
Yeah.
Everything's there. There's no wires in this side. Everything here is operational.
Okay. So what about what's in the chair? Is that operational?
Not properly, no.
The mic's plugged in.
Yeah. Mike's working.
He had to have 2 goes at that.
That messed up.
And there's this distinct lack of patch cables in the polymath.
Yes.
No, there is.
Oh, look,
there is. There is.
Yeah.
Hey,
roving reporter.
Down.
See?
Oh, yeah. Look, there are cables there. Look, let me.
That won't make any sound, will it?
No, it's not. It's not to make sound.
Looks cool. It just looks cool.
I can't get my bearings. There you go. And then here, this is where I'm sat.
Okay.
We've got
look at this.
We've got the TF5, and then the other 2 thingies, a can of Pepsi.
Yeah, that's a bit too close.
And then the Yamahas, the screen. There's me Mac Studio. I've got to have it that way
on a custom-made stand.
Oh, look, it's got
a
Rumba Hoover.
Yeah, there's another speaker there, and then round here you can see there's some other stuff there.
You're missing a big knob.
I've got that knob for you. I've got it here. It's in the workshop.
Oh, right. And then over here there's some other stuff, but I can't really get an angle of that because my phone's plugged in and the wire doesn't reach. So, but there's some other stuff there as well.
Is that your Cubase controller there?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's my vape there. And then there's the CC121. They're fantastic.
Best thing ever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. That's all you need. Just that.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Aha! I'm back.
Mine broke.
Did it?
Just a little up a bit because you're cutting the top of your head off.
Oh.
Just up a smidge. There you go. That'll do. Yeah, that's it. There. Perfect.
Nice one.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, there you go. You got your little studio tour.
Yeah. It's not all working yet. Oh, I didn't show you that stuff at the back as well. There's some rack stuff.
Oh yeah, some black and white things at the back. Yeah. Whatever.
Stuff nailed to the wall.
Keyboards, schmeeboards. Excellent stuff. Something came in the question for Ben. Tickets to Bolton next week.
Hey,
I think
I
you
would
just go in. It's just a normal city like all the others.
Is it? It's the
I think
food
you find if you just drive in.
I think it's
drive in.
It's Bolton Food and Drink Festival. So yeah, I think it's just you walk in. I think that's the gig you're on about.
Just say you're on the guest list. That's all you got to do. It's all I.
Who is it? What's your name?
I don't know. I have no idea who it is. Just say you're on the guest list.
Mr. Reserved.
Yeah, I'll put you on the guest list if you message me. There you go. If there's need.
Gold has just come on.
Oh, it's free. There you go.
In which case, I'll put him on the guest list.
Yeah.
You can tell everyone.
But yeah, I'll put everyone you know on the guest list. How's that? Yeah.
There you go. And there'll be so many of them, they just won't bother putting on the list, and they'll just say, "Come in."
What you mean? These 2? That's it. These. I don't know. Am I pointing at Robbie?
You're pointing at the edge.
No, I can never get the hang of it either.
You soon get used to it. You see, you do that, and then you do that. You see.
Can't do it.
Anyway, shall we do a show?
Oh yeah,
let's do a show.
It's like 15 minutes in. We've done Sweet FA.
Well,
that's okay because there's not a huge amount to talk about. There's some interesting bits and bobs. I'm just having a look. Shall we start with? Let's start with a video. Let's do something. Just to let me. Yeah, we do a bit. Actually, you just do. Okay, see what it is yet.
Oh.
Fun. This is the Stylophone Beat. It's a pocket drum machine. It's the second drum machine that Dubrec have made under the Stylophone brand. The first one is here. Look at that. There you go.
That's what I had.
Yeah. Now that is what do they call this model? Apart from rubbish. I haven't got my glasses on. Can't tell. But yeah, it's a Stylophone. So it's
Do you want to borrow mine? Hang on, here we go.
Yeah.
Do you want just there we go.
Just over here. Over here.
Right.
Over the edge.
Right.
That's it.
No, the other side.
There we go.
There we go.
Oh, look at that.
Seamless.
Seamless. Yeah,
So
absolutely
convincing.
seamless.
So
Can't see
convincing.
shit.
Industrial
You've
light
done
and
your life to do
magic.
that.
Penguin of Death is here.
And do you know what? It doesn't. After all that, it doesn't actually have a model number. But yeah, that was the original Stylophone drum machine with all these little touch zones and little samples in there, and there was a tuning knob as well, and it's battery operated, and it had a clickable ring. Don't you know?
Yeah.
A little thing around the edge there.
Yeah.
Little clicky thing. And you could record little sequences and play them back, and it was pretty rubbish.
Yeah.
But this apparently is less rubbish. So yeah, it's the Stylophone Beat pocket drum machine. Be the first to get it by pre-ordering now. It is just $29.95 here in the UK, $34.95 on the continent, $39.95 in the US of A. Enter your email address to sign up for when it becomes available. But it's basically very similar. It's got the same sort of style disc on there with a stylus. It's just got a little bit more going for it. You can mix and match 4 drum kits and 4 bass sounds. And if that demo's anything to go by, they don't sound awful. Out of that speaker, though, they're probably going to sound quite rubbish. But it does have the ability to be connected. Has an audio output on there as well. And I'm not sure if it's got an audio input, because this one had an audio input. So you could plug your generic MP3 player in there and jam along with your favourite hits of the day. But yeah, there you go. Stylophone Beat pocket drum machine. They either make cheap crap that'll go in somebody's Christmas stocking and be forgotten about by January 4th, or they make really good stuff and then don't make it anymore. Like the was it the R8, the big one, the big metal one?
That was great.
That was superb.
That was great.
But they seem to have cornered the market in cheap and cheerful. So yeah, why not go for it? 4 drum sounds, 4 bass sounds, record and loop, tempo control, audio out, battery operated. Robert's your mother's brother. Any thoughts on this one? And can we not mention he who cannot be mentioned, who is dead now anyway, but who cares?
Oh, yeah.
How much is it?
$29.95 to you.
I would never use it though, because it doesn't have MIDI. If I was going to play with something, I want to be able to then take it. I mean, yes, I can sample it and do things, but I want to be able to take it and do things with it. Run it, synchronize it and stuff. So, it's someone will be delighted, as you say, till possibly even as long as January the 4th after a Christmas present. Sounds all right. None of I loved it in the video where they're twisting the tempo control, and the tempo remains exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's
little
all
bug
stuff.
in the fur wear there. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, someone's going to find it a lot of fun. Not particularly my thing. I wonder if any of the guys doing EMOMs would be less rubbish, still shite. Should be the slogan.
Yeah.
And he should be on the show instead of me. Quite right.
He
It doesn't sound awful. Well done. Someone remembered.
Yes. keep them coming in the chat. There's some good ones coming there. Hello, Ben Bresden, just popping in for a quickie. Oot the boot. Hope you're well, Ben.
Station as well, is he?
Yeah, he's very certainly going to be in the German petrol station because he lives in Berlin.
That's a good place to start.
I haven't doxed him, have I? No, everybody knows where Ben lives. Anyway, so thank you for your thoughts, Mr. Simpson. What about you? Will this be featuring in an Electromantics lineup anytime soon?
I don't know. We could all have one and do Pocket Operator, can't we?
Oh, you could. You could do a proper. You could do Timey Kangaroo Dance Sport.
No, I'm not going there.
No.
I'm not going there. It's 25 quid, whatever it is.
£29.95.
Yeah, it's why not? But I fail to see why they've made it. Really, I just
why?
Who? I mean, they're coming up with slogans in the chat for this, but it could be stylophone because there's always one, you know.
We're all enormous snobs, though, professional musos and all that, or whatever we are, you know. So, but for a stylophone filler,
I think as a kid walking around B&M with my mum, and if I'd seen this on the shelf, I'd be like, "Oh, please let me have it. I'll have it for Christmas. I'll have that." And then it's something that you have a couple of goes of and never mess with again. Because I had the old one like you've got there, Rob, and I was looking for it, but I can't find it. I think I've actually thrown it away. It was still boxed and everything.
Well,
you
can buy this one now.
Never took it out the box, I don't think. I had a look at it and thought, no, it's shit there. And
stylophone beat because Rolf never got his hands on this one.
So I fail to see the point of it, but for maybe for kids and get them into it, then and I think it'd be quite hard to try and play a beat with that stylus.
It was when I tried this. I mean, I only bought mine because I was in, I think it was HMV on Oxford Street. That's how long it was ago. And they had
Why don't you get two? You should have two styluses on it.
I know, yeah. But dust falls out of it. That's how long it's been since I used it. But no, they were stacked high in the middle of the floor. They obviously weren't selling very well, and they'd knocked them down to about $9.99. I thought, oh, do you know what? Why not? And I got it home and went, and it did some sounds on. Yeah, that's it. And it just went in a drawer, and it's never really come out since. And this actually is probably the first time I've got it out in public. So there you go.
And I think we found someone that would love to have one because he's very generously donated.
Oh, there you
Very
go.
nice.
Brian wants one. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
You could
Another
have saved
19 quid, we can get one.
Yeah, you could have saved that. And, but yeah, there you go. Stylophone. Ken, any thoughts on this?
What? Oh, I'll wait for the Behringer one. I won't use it as a stocking filler because it'll make Fiona's legs look weird.
Yeah. It will, yeah.
I mean, they're lumpy enough as it is without adding electronics to it. No, the thing about it, I think, do you know what? I think they'll sell buckets of them.
Oh, of course they will, yeah.
And they'll make a nice tidy sum and they'll just go, cool, move on. Yeah. There you go. Can I go now?
Yeah. Can you tell what the beat is yet?
Yeah. Oh, dear. Two little boys got molested.
Yeah, stylophonbeat.com if you want to go and check that out. Yeah, if you're absolutely dying and itching to know.
Native VS says in the chat, that he quite liked the sound of the old one. So
well,
weird.
It had
it's
a
weird.
quality. It had a quality.
Yeah, well, it's just I'm not into crocheting.
But Bowie used it very famously. In fact,
yeah.
Dubrek, I think, still sell their Bowie edition of the stylophone.
They do. It's still there.
Yeah. So
how much is that one? $2,000 or something?
No,
they do a Bowie carry case as well for it.
Didn't he use the big puppy though?
Probably there was a big one, wasn't there?
The twin stylus one.
I don't know. I've seen him do it on stage.
That was quite stonking. That was.
Yeah, I've seen him perform. Well, not actually saw him, but I've seen video footage of him on stage with a little stylophone doing something. But yeah, I don't think there's anybody else that's actually knowingly.
Didn't he do America? One of those, something like that?
No, he used an omnichord for that when he did that
that's
live.
Right. Yes, he did. Yeah.
That's a omnicord, right? You know, they said they were going to build the new one, 70th anniversary of Suzuki and what have you. Ever since then, we there's a post on Gear News, and every week it's one of the best performing posts. On the news has been and gone, and nothing's happened since, and yet week after week people still read up and watch videos on the omnicord. It's a bizarre thing. Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
It's a strange one, though, isn't it? why so much interest in it?
Why aren't they bringing it out?
Well, they are. They're supposed to be. They're supposed to be. That's the whole thing. Once Damon Albarn did that interview recently and said that rhythm on the omnicord, that's Clint Eastwood right there, and he pressed the button and it was just it. He lifted it hook, line, and sinker. The interest in it's just gone crazy. I had one here for a while. An old friend of mine, sadly no longer with us, he had one. He said, "Oh, would you like to have a go on one of these?" And he let me have a go. And I fully intended to sample the hell out of it and never got round to it. And then he asked for it back. So I never did. But anyway, interesting things. Right. stylofonebeat.com for the Stylophone Beat, $29.95. Sign up now. I imagine they will be in the shops just in time for Christmas, so that you can buy somebody you really hate one of those. Right, let's see, what have we got. Let's do another video. That's because it helps me do all this seamless linking and everything. Yeah, talking of toy-like objects that make sounds, how about this? That's it. That's the video right there.
That's not the finished product, is it?
No.
It needed a bit of sanding.
Yeah. Well, it's So basically, this is the Snap Beat, which is a simple lo-fi sampler, not for professional use but for fun. Although I'm sure somebody will use it somewhere. Special offer for early adopters. As you saw there, basically, it is just dead simple. It's audio input, audio output, and you just sample a piece of audio, and then you can just truncate it and then assign it to one of the 8 buttons at the front of the panel there. It is, as you can see, 3D printed, and that's because they're selling 2 different versions of these on Tindy. You can get the pre-soldered board version, which is everything there, and then you just print the case, or you can get a fully assembled product for another $40. Special offers at the moment, 140 and 180 is usually 160 or 200, and that's it really. I mean, it's just let me just zoom in on that a little bit. It's just a little circuit board with a few buttons and knobs on, and that's it. And I mean, it's just another.
Do we know how long it samples for?
Not long, from what I see on that video. It doesn't have MIDI, by the way. It's pretty lo-fi, as is the trend these days. It has USB for power, but let's see, sampling time. No, it doesn't actually say. Let's have a look at this. ISD 1700 voice recording chip. It got frequencies. You can go right down to 4 kilohertz, but it doesn't. Unless I'm being blind here, it doesn't give any sampling times. I imagine it's probably 2 or 3 seconds at best. Not a huge amount, but there you go. Nice, cheap and cheerful. Something to build over Christmas, maybe. Again, these things are all coming out at the right time, though. Any thoughts on Snapbeat, anyone?
Again, for me, it's a bit like the last thing we looked at. It's like it's not for me. The fact that it's got no MIDI on it was a bit weird. I like the quirkiness of it, and I think somebody would get something out of it, but I just can't see what situation I would use that in. There's no real scenario I can picture.
Well, I mean, they say it themselves. It's a simple lo-fi sampler, not for professional use, but for fun, and that's really all it is.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd use that for fun, though.
Is that a get round? Because we're basically looking at a board with a Tinsy bolted on it, some free source code off the net to make it into a sampler.
Yeah.
Get a case and a couple of fancy-looking buttons that makes you want to go, come in, Miss Jenkins, can you write a letter for me? And that's about it. You know what I mean? And it's basically, it's sort of like, play back what you hear on a button, and it's like, for how much?
Yeah.
No, it's cheerful, but it's not fucking cheap. By any stretch of the imagination, you know.
Does it have a built-in speaker?
No.
I didn't see anything like that on the board.
No, it's just
audio.
No,
because that would mean having to put some form of audio amp in it, and they're not going to go down that route. It is basically that Tinsy playing back data.
In which case, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
There's a 20 quid box.
And that's why it's, limited buttons, because it literally stop, and it's just rudimentary source code on that Tinsy, you know.
I presume you can you do all your sample editing with that Chrome knob that's on it, but
yeah, that's just a dial, and you just
dial it back.
You just select the parameter and then just move the start and end points.
I mean, the Akai 612 is more complicated than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that takes some doing.
Getting those loop points.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get a loop point, really, are you?
There's going to be people out there that's going to love that, though.
Yeah,
there is. It's just not our thing, but like somebody somewhere is going to think, yeah, that's great. But
I reckon at some point someone's going to bring out something just like that. Not just like that. A sampler that's just really, really simple to use with a built-in speaker that allows you to just experiment quickly in the studio. Have you thought about doing it? Often when I was in studios recording, I'll just leave a mic up. So if someone says, "Can we get a hi-hat that goes," you just put the mic up and go, "Do it," and then you put it in. And if it worked, it works. And if it didn't, you got the drummer to do it. When you're meeting him enough, it was it's kind of fun. If it was portable and had a speaker, I'd just fill it with lots of different fart noises and just keep it in my pocket for when I was in a lift or an elevator.
Like you needed a sampler for that.
I think
I like Kent's intercom use for it, but I'd have all the requests on the buttons, so when you pressed it, you didn't have to open your mouth, just freak people out.
Yeah.
Could you come in a second, Miss Jenkins?
Coffee, 2 sugars and milk, please. Yeah. No, I think this will appeal to the home builder type, who maybe have a 3D printer and just want an excuse to use it. Maybe that's it.
But it's not really a build; it's just putting a case on.
Well, it is. Exactly. Yeah.
If the components were separate and you actually had to physically mount things, then it might. Yeah. That might be something which someone would really like. But as it is, it's just either with a case or without. And even with the case, it's a shitty box, and it's very expensive for what it is. It's ridiculously expensive.
I don't get
it.
I've just had a look on their website. They're completely out of stock.
Wow.
That's either a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know which.
There's no woman in the kitchen building them. That's what we're going to say.
They're based in Hanoi, Vietnam. That has anything to do with it. But both out of stock at the moment. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the 3D printer to finish the first case. That's what it is.
I'd be massively surprised if that company is bigger than a coffee table in somebody's front room.
Yeah, exactly.
But where that price comes from is beyond me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's a little
I know where it comes from.
Oh, hang on. I've got your sample time for you.
Go on.
6 seconds at high quality, 12 seconds at low.
So 12 seconds at low, and you can loop it?
8 voice channels, 20 kilohertz, 12 kilohertz low, 6 to 12 seconds. Maximum song length, 64 rhythm patterns. Maximum pattern consists of 2 bars. Doesn't say anything about looping, but
if it's song, that implies you can record a sequence of button pushes and it will play them back in order.
Main functions are sample
You
and
might
truncate.
have to push the buttons, though.
Compose rhythm patterns. You can compose patterns.
That's why it's so expensive. They're trying to sell it to certain bodies, certain soldiery, and they'll just say, "Oh, just put it in quickly. Over here, comrade. Over here, comrade." Then set it going and run away, and then that's what it will be for.
It's got military pricing on it.
It's military price. That's what it is. Military.
Will survive a nuclear blast. Yeah.
Is that 6 and 12 seconds split across the pads, or could you cheat and get like
no? It's per
multiples?
channel. Per channel.
Oh,
so
right,
it's 8 channels, and it's either 6 seconds at high quality or 12 seconds at low per channel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Per
about
channel.
the capacity of
Per
the
channel.
Tinsy, really.
So there you go.
Interesting.
But if you are interested in buying one of those for your loved one at Christmas, and we should probably do another one of those shows, shouldn't we? Christmas gifts for the synthesist, like we did before.
Yeah.
I've
Might
got 2
start looking
contenders
now.
already. Yeah, I've got 2 contenders already. Add those to the list. Ben, you've got a crackle on your microphone. I don't know what that is.
Have I?
Yeah. You've got Kent's Dalek thing going on.
Oh.
So it might be a sample rates, I don't know.
Are you using
But-
a Mac Studio by any chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Reset the sample rate.
Okay.
Switch to
then it'll
44,
just
48
Just
or whatever.
ignore me a second.
Yeah.
I've just got
It'll
in
go away
and,
for 2 hours.
I know what it might be, actually.
Go on, Ben, you audio engineer.
Marbles in the mixer.
Right. Okay. So that was that, and that was that. We're going to do. We've got a discussion topic coming up. Just to sort of give you all a heads up. There's actually 2 discussion topics. We'll come to those shortly, while Ben sorts his audio out. Why don't we do the last of the video intro? Now, we were supposed to do this last week, and I apologise. I completely forgot. And we didn't, so I'm doing it today.
Last years have been rough, and now it's perfect time to move forward, create, share and enjoy music together. For this, we need good instruments, machines with a home feeling, inviting us to explore. And this is how Manatee started, distilling the design essence from 2000s classics and blending it with modern approach to synthesis and workflow. 3 prototypes based on different engines, hardware architectures and user interface concepts were made. Numerous ideas were evaluated until it stabilized to this. This is Manatee. It is a 4-part, unashamedly digital synthesizer built in a compact and sturdy steel chassis. With its 2 dual-core DSP architecture, it delivers from 10 to 16 voices of polyphony, depending on the patch's complexity. The flexible 2 oscillator structure with the specific spectral generator and a convenient multi-engine sub-oscillator offers a lot of sonic options to explore. Moreover, a ring modulator and an advanced noise module are also included as additional sound sources. When it comes to modulation, Manatee relies on 2 meta envelopes and 1 independent LFO per voice, which have all multiple targets and expressors, meaning their intensity can be controlled by expressivity sources. Also, each part has 2 paraphonic LFOs dedicated to synchronous sound variations, and for extended routing of all the sources, the 3-slot modulation matrix comes in handy. The filter consists of 2 separate stages. It is a carefully adjusted custom multimode design with quite some character. An extra configuration.
We'll do that there because it goes on for a little bit longer than that. But this is Fred's Lab Manatee, or Manatee, or however you want to pronounce it. I've seen one of those in real life. Not one of those, but an actual manatee.
Manatee, yes.
Manatees. This is a 4-part, 10 to 16 voice, unashamedly digital synthesizer. I don't know what is the shame in digital synthesis. I don't know. But apparently this is unashamedly digital. It comes with spectrum modulation and many digital algorithms with a fine selection of classic virtual analog and 2-operator FM algorithms that can be influenced by many modulation options. It's powered by 2 dual-core 200 MHz 16-bit DSPs and offers a minimum of 10 voices of digital madness spreadable over 4 independent MIDI parts to play full arrangements or generate massive and complex sound layers when stacking. This has... I was going to talk about this last week, but it has now already exceeded its goal of which was just over 51,000. It's now at nearly 63. 11 more days to go. So this is going to happen, and it will cost you about €635, which is around 543 of your Great British pounds, and will ship around February of 2024. Plenty left to buy. 92 out of 100 there. And then there's a mega pack, and then there's a double pack, and so on and so forth. Or you can get serial number 1 for a mere 2,999 euros. Early birds have all gone. So there you go. Manatee multi-timbral MPE. It was at Super Booth last year, but I don't remember seeing this or an example of this, because it looked slightly different last year apparently. I don't remember seeing it this year.
It was in a cream case last year.
It was last year.
It was a different layout. Yeah.
Yeah, because he says in the video he tried 2 or 3 different layouts, and this is the one that they ended up with. This, there's the prototype just there, which yes, it was in a slightly different case, but it's the same thing. But there you go. It's nice to see a new little thing. I didn't really like the sound of this. I don't think it was the best demo in the world. I'd like to hear more, and there are plenty of demos on SoundCloud and various places. But Mr. Spong, let's come to you first on this one, so you can get out your system and then put your feet up. What do you think? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean it's okay. Should I start with a criticism? Yeah, go on then. It's about £200 too much. Although I understand that, you know, when you're doing these things now on small scale, it does make them more expensive.
Yeah,
to be sure, you can't compete with the big boys. But yeah, the sound was not saying to me, "Rush out and buy me." It wasn't. Well, it wasn't really. That's not really my thing. So to be fair, but that's me personally. But I mean, it's a nice little desktop thing. I'm sure it comes up with some really brilliant sounds. It's got MIDI on it as well. Well done.
Yeah.
It's just the price is just. You really need to find a way, dude, to just get that down a bit, and then it becomes more attractive. Because at the moment, I mean, what would you say, 500?
Well, the normal price is going to be £543.
Yeah,
Plus
if it was about £399, I'd go. Yeah, I'm going to put that on my list. I'll get round to it, but I'll put that on my list. You know, but no, that's a little bit sort of like I could get a Hydra 49 for that. What?
Yeah. I mean, it packed a bit of a punch because each voice has got 2 oscillators, a generator and a sub, an advanced noise and ring modulator, a multi-mode resonant 12/24 dB per octave with an extra RC section. I'm not sure what RC stands for. A saturation module, 2 meta envelopes, custom LFO, and a 3-slot mod matrix. That's per voice, and there's 4 of those. Each part offers spectral markers, 2 custom LFOs, stereo delays, and adjustable stereo equalizers, and is MPE friendly.
Well, maybe a better demo, something that's a bit more, I don't know, a bit more musical, and really starts, you know, pushing the boundaries of what it's capable of doing, will help sell it, I would have thought. But what I was hearing was not screaming 500 odd quid to me.
No. I mean, it's a fairly nicely laid out little bit. Excuse the blurry because I've had to blow this up. But it's a nice compact design. So MIDI in, out and through, clock in,
Yeah.
Stereo audio outs, main, and there's a second pair of outputs there.
I changed
And-
those knobs though.
Yeah, and proper power supply on there as well. Nothing USB fancy there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No, sweet enough.
Yeah. What you at, Ben?
Well, I'm in two minds really, because I agree with what's been said so far. I quite liked the sound when I first heard it. I thought, yeah, it sounds crap, but in a good way. I can imagine with the stuff that I've got, I can imagine that fitting in sonically somewhere in there, and bringing something different that I haven't. Well, this is where I'm in two minds. Different that I didn't think I had. And then when I saw the price, I instantly lost interest in it, because I thought, I've got like digital synths, like plugins and hardware that I could just put through I could just put plugins on it to get that kind of tone. Surely, I reckon with the plugins that I've got on my computer, I could get that same tone out of the TX802, like easy.
Yeah.
So the price is a little bit off-putting, and the form factor's a little bit off-putting for me. It reminds me a little bit of the Virus Snow, and I never like that because I know I've got this. Ironically, I've got this Cubase controller here, but I don't really like lots of little things everywhere.
Yeah.
I like things in racks, and if I haven't really got anything like that apart from that Cubase controller.
Indeed. How about you, Mr. Longhurst?
Well, when I first saw it, in common with everyone else, I thought, Jesus, this needs some new demos. It really needs some proper demos. And we don't know how it's going to sound. We don't know if it does zipper noise, digital zipper noise. That's always it's a horrible, horrible thing. However, I kind of see where Kent's coming from, and everyone, it looks like a really small thing to be costing as much as it is, but it's 10 to 16 voices. It's only 10 voices if you really, really push it and you're using all 4 voices on everything with, and I'm not sure you need to. I'm actually quite intrigued by this, and the funny thing is it would sit just up here on the left of this, this Roland thing. It would just sit there very comfortably as another something, and guess what? I can get to it with my left hand and twiddle around with it. I reckon, because I did have, for my sins, I did watch the Super Booth, several of them, several different videos to try and get a sense of it, and I think it's probably enormously powerful, and I think it's going to be doing some sounds, some tonal things that nothing else can do. It's not immediate. I think what it is it's not obvious what it does, and no one's created the presets where you go, oh, like that.
Yeah, that's the cool
thing. Is, on the show a few weeks ago, I bought a little something, an easy play, whatever it was, the little widdly thing with 14.
Oh, the ELZ1 Play, yeah.
That's the one, the ELZ1 Play. That's got 14 different synth engines on it, and it's about the same price. However, even having said that, this has got more immediate controls on it, and there's something about it that I'm quite intrigued by. I'd love to get a version of it and start playing around. I'd put together a sound bank on this in about 20, in a day or so. It looks incredibly simple to engage with, but it looks like it's got a very, very powerful series of modulation opportunity, matrices. I just think it looks like it could be really interesting, but it badly needs some demos.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the design principle behind it is that it's fast, easy workflow. You can just get results very, very quickly. I think that's its kind of key selling point, shall we say? But yeah, I think we just need to hear more of it and see, find out, what are its it's killer sounds that you think, oh yeah, that's really good, because as you say, in that price point, like I said, there's the ELZ1 Play that's coming soon, which is obviously the revamped version of the previous one. But if we say that this is, say, a roughly £500 synthesizer, well, it's going up against a lot of things that can do lots of really cool stuff as well at that price point, maybe more.
And I think it's actually going to be closer to 600 once you do all the taxes and everything else.
Taxes and import duties, certainly for here in the UK.
So at £600, it suddenly starts getting very. But it might just if the demos are good. I've seen systems where you look at them and go, I don't get it. And then you hear the demos, you go, I've got to have that.
That's it. Yeah.
Which is what the ELZ1 was for me.
Yeah.
I was looking at it going,
it's got backed.
I kind of get it.
It's got backed. So they are going to happen. We are going to see them, and
it's a one man. It's a one man band.
Pretty much.
Love that. So, support it. Hope he does well. Hope it sounds amazing.
Indeed. And it's got the benefit of being MPE compatible, which is going to make a lot of people go, here's the thing.
That was the other thing that for anything MPE compatible at that price.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well,
sorry, I noticed also. Sorry to interrupt, Robbie, but I noticed also he mentioned a lot of different controllers and modulation opportunities that can be controlled directly by MPE. So that the expression. So that also intrigued me enormously. So I'm kind of interested.
We want a demo video of this and something like an Osmos or a Roly or something.
No, we want one here.
Well, yeah.
Here. I want one here to play with. But it's a good thing.
We're not that, in pecking order. We're not there. But talking of MPE ability, something else has just had it. What? Woo. Words difficult today. Third Wave has just got a 1.5 OS update, which now gives it support for MPE. So it's now able to respond to MPE-driven controllers such as the Osmos, Roly Seaboard, and others, to name but a few. It also comes now with free running oscillators for enhanced virtual analog emulation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Polyphonic unison mode, which is very nice. That's something that I first encountered, I think, on the DX7 Mark II poly unison mode. Longer LFO frequency values, so that's nice. And MIDI program change send capability. So just, going into that kind of performance aspect, I guess. That's out today. If you have a Third Wave, not only you're a lucky git, and I want one, but you can now upgrade and get full MPE support as well. So, not really. There's no demonstrations of this. It was just announced. Here it is. Here's the support, and this is the addendum to the user manual. That's all I've got. Nothing else. But the Third Wave is an incredible machine. It's making some amazing sounds. And everyone I speak to that has got one, after I've hissed at them a little bit, they say that it is really a very, very cool instrument and is capable of doing way more than just imitating a PPG, which some people might think, it's just a clone. No, way more than that. Yeah. Way more.
No. I was going to ask, Ken, you did I seem to remember you've in the past done unison models for the CS80. Was that poly unison?
It was dynamic, yeah.
Okay.
So if you played one note, you got all 16 VCOs. If you played 2, you got 8 on each key. If you played 4, you got so forth and so forth.
Yeah.
How you played it determined how unison it was. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds interesting. I'd like to have had a go with that.
I got it on. I put it on this one. This one's got it.
Yeah.
Apparently, on the Christmas show, Dr. Manny is going to give his one away to the first person that can say.
Is that so?
Yeah, apparently he told me.
So?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not lying.
That and his C15. He's getting all the cool stuff at the moment.
Oh, isn't he just?
Yeah.
Oof.
Anyway, if you're a Third Wave owner, today's a good day because you've just got a nice update for free. The price of the Third Wave over here in the UK is somewhat prohibitive, but I believe that European distribution is either available or is coming. It's still not cheap, but it might shave a little bit off. But it's just small companies. They have to pay all the you have to go through all these different things, and then you pay taxes. So anyway, one day I shall have one of those.
One day my synth will come.
Indeed. Talking of synths that are coming, maybe down the pipeline at some point. Those of us who were fortunate enough to be at Super Booth this year were lucky enough to get a play on the new Modal Electronics Carbon 8, which is the next in their series of I don't know what that platform's called. We'll call them the elements, because it's argon and cobalt, although I don't think cobalt is an element. I don't know.
Shredded wheat.
Let's call it. We'll call it the elements platform, for want of a better phrase. So the Carbon 8 was billed as an experimental digital synthesizer, and since Super Booth, we've heard nothing about it, which was a shame and slightly concerning. However, just the other day, and I'm not breaking any NDAs or anything here because this is out there. You can all go and have a look at the Craft Music website. That's Craft with a K, craftmusic.com. There it is in all its glory, up for pre-order. And so now, this was Tom from Synth Anatomy, bless him. He broke this and confirmed the price with Modal, and the price was the first thing that caught my attention, and not in a good way, because I know this is US dollars, so the pound price is going to be like $8.99, maybe $9.50. I don't know. But even then, that is substantially more than the Cobalt 8 and the Argon 8, which were, I believe, and the 37 key versions were like $5.99, I think. Now I know times have changed, and component prices are through the roof, etc., etc. But that's quite a hike. However, we are now able to get a little bit more of an insight into it's actually how it does what it does. So it's an 8-voice digital experimental synth combining advanced digital audio algorithms and high-res wavetables. It was the term that was being bandied around, although not by Modal themselves, it was very similar to phase distortion synthesis that was found in Casio CZs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Sophisticated.
It did sound along them lines as
It
well,
did have that,
didn't it?
that fizziness to it, didn't it? Oscillate cross modulations to enrich or drastically change the harmonic content. 34 static and morphable filter types. Oscillator free run and vintage parameters. Shapeable LFOs. 3 effect slots. 37 note for tar keyboard. Joystick. Modal app compatible. The unit we played at Super Booth is, or was, should I say, not finished. And there was some stuff on there that was like, that sounds very Argonate-ish, that sounds a bit cobalty. But then there was other stuff on there that was like, oh, that's interesting. And it certainly had something for it. Now, obviously, they've carried on developing this, and fingers crossed we'll get a unit in for review, because
there is a video of it. It's a French video.
Yeah, and that's the one that was, I think there's the other one that was at Super Booth, or Les Sondier's video.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to play his videos because he doesn't like other people playing his videos on YouTube, as Ramsey found out to his cost. But yes, you can go. There's loads of videos taken at Super Booth. I think even Nick probably got one on sonicstate.com, so you can get an idea for what it's about. But now we see, it looks like this is into production. It's going to be, according to this, $1,099, which is a little steep, and I know that some people are, rightly or wrongly, are going to quibble about this. But it's just nice to see Modal coming out with the next in the series, and hopefully it's different enough to make it stand out from the other two, which were bloody excellent.
Thing is, I listened to it. I liked it. I liked the demos I saw, but it reminded me, really reminded me of the version 2 of the Novation Supernova 2 with the updated version 2 software. It reminded me of that. It's got that same snark. It's slightly cleaner than the Novation, but it really reminded me of that. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's certainly a good sounding thing, but it does seem quite expensive.
I don't know whether this is a genuine leak or whether this is... Because I know that... I have to be careful what I say here, because NDAs and stuff, but Modal signed a new... at the beginning of this year, they signed a new distribution agreement with an American company, which is very useful because it gets them into that market proper. And I believe Craft Music, being an American-based company, maybe the US distribution has jumped the gun a little bit, and that's why this is out there. And it's still... This web page is live, so it's still there. It's not been taken down.
Aren't they based in Bristol?
Yes.
That's
the
right,
company
yeah.
itself are based down there, yeah.
Right near where he lives, like, look.
Indeed. Yeah.
Riddle.
We need to get Philip back on the show.
Yeah,
Give us the lowdown. Because do you remember when he was last on the show, he said something along the lines of they've got something on the boil and they were having trouble squeezing it all into that form factor, but they were going to do it. But and it'd be interesting to see if they do follow the trend of the rack mount and the 61 note version as well, because that was a very good move on their part with the other two.
Yeah, do you know, it's not far from me. I might pop over and say hello.
Yeah.
And just see what's going on.
Flip them around the ear, tell them get on here.
I do like this stuff. It's got great sound, though.
The Argon 8 and the
sound.
Cobalt 8 are stunning synthesizers. I absolutely love them. They really... you come away from playing with those things feeling very satisfied, you know, that you've got had a good experience. Ken, any thoughts on this one?
No, none whatsoever.
No.
I'm out of it.
Why are you
on
even
this
here?
one? Yeah, no, I've got my my Argon. I'm done. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Move on.
I mean, I think one of the reasons why I thought this sounded very Argon 8-esque is that it does rely on, you know, there's a lot of wavetables in here as well. So, and obviously the Argon 8 is a wavetable synth, and a very nice one, I have to say. But yeah, I think the winning thing with Modal on these synthesizers is that they did satisfy the desires of those that want small keyboard, large keyboard, rack mount module, or desktop module. So they covered all of those bases. Now, what they normally did with those is they released the 37 key version first, and then then the others shortly afterwards. So I'm hoping that those are on the roadmap, as they say. But this is there's no date of release of this. This is a pre-order thing, and I imagine that. Well, I don't know when this is going to be available. But if you get your pre-order in now, then obviously that price will be good.
There'll probably be a micro one by Yuli called the Masturb.
I think that deserves. Now, what should we do? No, I think that deserves one of these. No, not a fanfare. That's a cricket and a tumbleweed. That one.
It was a bit of a Keir Starmer answer. That one. It was both.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Modal's Carbonate seems to be approaching the gate, shall we say?
Maybe it's time to pop over and say hello.
Yes, go and give.
I'll
Phil
take a
piece of
camera.
your mind.
Show us all your goodies.
Indeed, yeah. So there we go. Keep your eyes peeled for that, and once it does become a thing, and we start seeing some demos, and maybe get hold of a demo unit, then we can talk about it more. But yeah, craftmusic.com, have it up for pre-order. There's a whole bunch of details about it there, if you so wish. Right.
Mike.
Another new synth. Well, I say new synth. An old. Well, it's not that old even. An existing synthesizer in a new form factor was released just this week. Good old Teddy Wogan there. It was, of course, the Trigon 6 desktop module, which I guess we all kind of knew was gonna come, because that's what Sequential do. They put out a keyboard version and then they stick it all into a box. So nothing really groundbreaking here. It's a Trigon 6, and it's been stripped of its keys and put into a nice, lovely little tabletop box. But I guess the bigger news here is that it has received a firmware upgrade. So this new firmware will work on the module as well as the keyboard version, which gives it MPE support. So much more is getting, it's becoming the thing to do these days. Unfortunately, Sequential have not given us any visual demonstrations of MPE behaviour, so we've got to take their word for it. But I'm sure that something will happen soon. I know that who's the guy at Sweetwater? Is it Dan Fisher at Sweetwater? Did a video just the other day, but the video's topic was desktop synthesizers. And this just happened to be the one that he was demonstrating, but he was using like an SL49 Native Instruments controller, which I don't think is MPE, so he wasn't really demonstrating any of the MPE functionality, which was a bit sad. Otherwise I would have used that. So there you go, Trigon 6 is now in the desktop. I got to say, I tried this at Gearfest last year, and I tried this at Super Booth this year, or was it Gearfest or Synthfest? Okay, one of the two. Anyway, I tried it. Didn't win me over. I mean, it's a lovely synth and it sounds very nice, but it didn't grab me by the and say
short and careless.
Buy me. Yeah, I don't know. It's a nice thing if you're missing that kind of sound. You know, lots of people were saying, "Oh, it's just like a memory Moog because it's got the 3 oscillators." So 3, and
breaks down a lot.
Sorry.
Breaks down a lot.
Yeah, breaks down a lot. Yeah.
Does it?
Well, if it's like a memory Moog, it will be.
Memory Moog, sorry. Yeah.
It's not an awful synthesizer by any stretch. It just didn't. Because you remember, Ben, that they had that room upstairs, didn't they? And they had this and the Oberheim and the Prophet 5. And those two just, I don't know whether it was a psychological thing.
Yeah.
To me, they just sounded gorgeous.
Yeah.
Whereas this sounds okay, but it just didn't grab me. But I suppose with MPE support, Kent, might be interested in hooking this up to an Osmos.
Possible. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. Me and Polly Prophets not always got on. To be honest. So I'm alright with the mono ones, but not so much the poly ones, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you talking? Have you had any of the newer ones in for repair or servicing?
No.
I would imagine you would.
They are. They strike me as quite well built.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a lot of Behringers come in, but
Well, yeah.
So that particular issue has gone away then? Probably.
Yeah, people still want the old stuff, don't they?
Price-wise, this is $2.5 grand, by the way.
Oh,
Holy cow on a stick!
holy shizer.
Yeah.
Thing
Keyboard
is-
version's 3 and something. So.
Thing is, this is. I was thinking this earlier when I was looking at trying to find videos for it, and I found a video of the original, the keyboard version. If this had come out and nothing else had for the last however many months, there hadn't been another synth like this. We'd all be slavering over this, going,
Yeah,
"Wow,
true.
we're spoilt for choice. We really are spoilt for choice." And I think perhaps we're just getting a little jaded by it all because there's so many. But this has got MPE. I did notice that unlike the Obi that came before it, this has got, because it's got 3 oscillators, you can use the third one for the ultra low, so you get a second LFO. You get to do all sorts of weird things. This also goes past the 0 point and pulse width, which gives you some interesting effects. I think it's probably a very good thing, but the one thing I didn't like about it is I miss the complexity of multiple LFOs or that sort of randomness that you get from things like the original, from the OBX8, those kinds of things. There's that thickness you get. Everything on this just seems to sort of wobble up and down. Every time you apply an LFO, it's everything wobbling up and down in time. And it just feels a bit sort of, where's the free running, how do you... It feels like it's missing a trick somewhere. So maybe it's a wonderful thing, and maybe we're just spoilt for choice. $2.5 grand. I'm not sure I want to find out, but I might try the Trigon 6 keyboard again. I might, just give that a go and see what I think.
Yeah. No, for me, it's still either the Prophet or the Oberheim. They still do it for me. What about you, Ben?
I'm just I'm intrigued why it didn't have MPE from launch. Really, you know, the keyboard version, because I remember when they changed the slop control to vintage.
Vintage, yeah.
That firmware update, if I'm not mistaken, that included MPE support for the Prophet 6 and the OB6.
Oh, right.
And this is part of the same, like, trilogy. Yeah. So why not include it from the off? Why wasn't it included from the start? Again, for me, I'd have to have the keyboard version because it's yet another box that's sat on my desk. I don't know where do you think they're getting all this desk space from? You know, you just got to get them out there, use them, and then shelve.
It would be nice if they made it, you know, so you could put rack ears on.
Yeah.
But I think they're too big.
Oh.
Or, I've heard somewhere that they're a little large for the 19-inch racks, which is a shame.
They could make their own rack, and you could put 3 of them in one.
Yeah,
you know, after.
Are they all? I'm imagining they're all the same size.
I think it's exactly the same form factor on each one.
Nice.
I was impressed with it when I heard it at Superboo. That obviously, like, you're right.
There you go, like 22 inches.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. The Prophet 5 and the OB8s. No, the OB. Which one is it? OB8.
OBX8.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were just. I think there's like a bit of just desire to have those synths because they're such iconic things. So they win you over before you even touch them.
And
this is. I mean, like, Sequential's been criticised for, well, not criticised, but like known for a slightly thinner sound in the past. So this is a great addition to the 3 synths together, and I know a few people who's got all 3, and you know it's a great little combo.
Yeah.
I'd have to have the keyboard version myself.
Yeah.
I just don't like that.
No.
That design.
Thing is, I was looking at it. I'm just looking at the dimensions now. I'm just looking at the layout of the. Can you pop it up, Robbie, or shall I?
Excuse me. I've closed the window.
You've closed the window.
I've closed the window because I was about to move on.
Okay, well, we'll just looking at it. It wouldn't have taken that much to just shrink it in a little bit. There's plenty of room there to move.
I wonder if you take
around.
the end cheeks off, whether that would. But then
no, if it's 22 inches, it's 3 inches too long, isn't it? So,
well,
but it wouldn't take much.
First time I've heard that.
Yeah,
that's 3 inches, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what my wife tells me.
Yeah. That's why she's so bad at parking, because of what you told her a foot is.
Oh,
It's an odd one. It is odd. You know, we've had a theme recently in this year of people releasing stuff where we're just looking at it going, why? And I think maybe now I'm thinking about it more. Why isn't this a rack mount version? As a rack mount, it would make sense. It really would.
Maybe Sequential will come up with some sort of custom compartment or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'd definitely be more interested if it would be rackable.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a big thing.
So, Trigon 6 available as a desktop now, and with new firmware that gives it MPE support, and that also works on the keyboard version, but obviously you've got to hook up an MPE controller via MIDI. It won't make the actual keyboard on the Trigon MPE compatible. Right, very, very quickly, I just want to get this out there, because as a new owner of one of these, I've been absolutely bowled over by it, and 1010 Music have announced this week that the black box, which has been out of stock, and it does say, says check back in September, the black box and the bit box are both now back in production and available to order. So you can get those now. You can go and get them, and I tell you, it's a wonderful little thing. It really is. $650. US, but I've been loving mine. It's going in my bag when I go away for a bit in a little, in a few days' time. So yeah, just want to let everyone know that the Black Box and the Bit Box are both back in stock, ready to buy now. Right, 2 little discussion points. I'm going to start off with the one that Kent brought up with me yesterday. He phoned me up rather distressed.
Yeah,
he said he was in a bit of a way, shall we say? And to be honest, when I found out why, I couldn't blame him. Ken, you are widely regarded, and I'm not blowing smoke up the proverbial, but you are widely regarded as one of the best synth repairers, restorers, technicians, whatever you want to call that marvellous profession that you are involved in. And the vast majority of your work is fixing and repairing electronic musical instruments of a certain vintage and beyond.
Indeed. And
that requires access to not only the wealth of knowledge that you store in that funny-shaped head of yours, but also it requires access to components that were used in instruments that are sometimes 50-odd years old. Would you like to take the story up from here?
Yeah. So, I've got to restore a CS80 next week. And found myself a bit low on a few ICs. So went online to go and buy my ICs like one would. Noticing that out of the 3 main distributors in the UK, a certain IC at the moment, which is the 4016, which is a 4-pole 4-part switch, analog switch, Farnell had 1, and RS had none, and I think which is the other one? Rapid. It come up with a page saying these are no longer produced. Goodbye. I've gone, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I actually ended up having a conversation with a really nice guy who works at Farnell, head of acquisitions or whatever it was, big long title. And he said, yes. He said, no, the through hole has been done and dusted for a couple of years now, but the world has been getting through them a lot faster than first anticipated. He said, they do refer to the chip shortage, which isn't really including SMT. I mean, you just have to look at how much stuff is coming out at the moment to know that there isn't actually a chip shortage. And if a company says, oh, well, because of the chip shortage means they're sitting on their arse and not doing anything, they're just drinking tea. So, but the through-hole stuff is definitely running out. So, that's all well and good. But one thing that needs to be considered here, you think, oh yeah, well I haven't got anything old, it doesn't matter. Well, if you've got a Lyra 8, yeah, you have got something to worry about, because that discontinued chip, there's at least 3 of them in a Lyra 8, and they're through-hole ones. They're not SMT either. And SMT, is not, it's prolific, yes, but it's not the be-all end-all. There's still a lot of through-hole stuff even today being made. And as it runs out, you find that it's going to be a point very, very soon, and I mean very, very soon, where I won't even be able to do repairs anymore. And that will be the end of it. So people who are owning lovely bits of old vintage gear may have trouble getting it repaired, say, mid-next year, due to you cannot get the parts for them. And so you can sell it as spares repair, but watch the price of vintage analog go through the floor, and you think, well, that's good, because then I can get that. I'll be able to own a CS80 or a Jupiter 8 now, because it will only be £800.
Yeah.
Until it
yes,
goes
you
back.
will, but you won't be able to get it repaired.
Yeah, exactly. So when you told me this, you said, or I said to you, well, surely there's someone out there been clever enough to make an adapter of sorts, so that, or an alternative, something that you can take a surface mount chip and put it into a through hole position. And you said yes, but
a lot of surface mount stuff will only work at 2 volts. Some will work at 5. Big synthesizers who want to work at 15 volt at 2.5 amp, that IC isn't going to like that very much. Plus it's £4 for the converter board to put the chip onto. So yeah, Nate's saying about they got the 4016BEs in stock. There's 3,553 of them. That's all well and good. There's 50 in one memory mode.
Yeah.
Right? These things are disappearing quicker than you could possibly believe. Where Mauser are saying they've got 3,000, they used to have like 150 to 250,000 any day of the week. And they were dirt cheap. I've managed to get hold of some 4016s and they cost me £1 each, not including delivery, instead of, I think it was about £3.40 for a tube of 25. Right, so the prices are, as it dwindles, obviously they're putting the prices up because there's less of them. So when Mauser gets down to 900 or 800 of them, their price will triple. And then eventually they'll just be all gone.
Thing is,
and that's just one IC though. That's just one.
Yeah.
It's the others are running out as well.
So this isn't just an issue for synthesizers, it's for a whole bunch of stuff.
Washing machines,
older kit.
Yeah,
everything,
and not necessarily
right?
that old. I mean, a lot of through hole does make it into modern stuff simply because it was easier to do.
Yeah.
So washing machine, front panels, microwaves, you name it, they're all over the bloody shop. Yeah.
So it strikes me there's an opportunity here for someone to come up with a 3D printer to print old custom ICs. They're not, these are really old. This is really old tech. It can't be beyond the ken of man to work out how to 3D print these.
Well, this
if someone
has come
comes
up.
up with that,
This has come up, but the thing is to set up a factory to reproduce through hole into a world that is trying to get rid of through hole. You probably wouldn't see a great return on your investment on this factory.
No, but if someone like yourself, if someone produced a 3D printer that did that and it cost whatever it is, $5,000 or something, 10 grand to get that, but it kept you in business forever because you could print these things off, and guess what? You could print them for other people as well from time to time. Pretty much naming your own price. That suddenly becomes a different thing. There'd be a lot of people selling. There'd be a lot of 3D component printers sold. A lot.
Yeah, you can't really 3D print them, can you? Really? I mean,
Well,
you can
why not?
3D print the converter boards for the IC to sit on, the SMT one, but you still have to now completely change the power requirement to that particular IC on that board. Or you're going to have to start making whole new boards with using SMT components.
Yeah.
And to replace entire boards out of things. The TKC and the CAS board out of the 80, for instance.
Which means they're not the same. They're not the same synth.
Well, it won't change the sound. It won't change much at all. But it's still a huge investment to get involved in to do all that for something that doesn't come up that often. You see, so nobody's going to bother. Because nobody's going to be. It would work as a loss to anybody who attempted it. So nobody's going to bother. So this stuff's going to all die. It's all going to be landfill.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I mentioned to you yesterday when we were having this conversation was, that is now the time for FPGA, and for somebody to come up with FPGA equivalents. So you basically have, a small Arduino or a Teensy or something running FPGAs of those circuits and chips in software. But then again, you are going to, you're not running electricity through components anymore. you're running a piece of software, which of course is what most modern day synthesizers are doing anyway. But when you're trying to restore a CS80 or a Jupiter 8, and you're replacing hardware with FPGAs, is it going to be the same? I don't know. Yeah,
not really. No.
And there's going to be a lot. Where do you put it all? How do you fit it all in? How do you where do you mount it? It starts
but I mean,
becoming a real pain in the arse.
Even if you were talking about putting in converter boards with SMT chips on them, that takes up more room than the original chip does. So, for instance, like you couldn't do that if you had to repair a WASP, for instance.
Yeah.
You'll never get the capacitive keyboard circuitry and won't be able to close the case afterwards.
Yeah.
So there's a space thing as well. You know, a lot of these things are crammed out already as it is. They haven't got room to sort of like put a little extra power supply in the corner and stuff like that. So it's getting a bit ridiculous. So, but in terms of being able to restore stuff, it's not looking good.
How soon do you think this stuff is going to run out? When will it start affecting
your
abilities?
It's really hard to say. I mean, most of the main ones, which would obviously dispel down to nothing before everybody else. There's already trouble getting 4011s, 51s, 50s, 69s, you name it. And a lot of the 74LS is getting a bit weak, thin on the ground as well. So it's going to happen. It's really hard to say when. It will depend on the fault. It will depend on the keyboard. But I think next year I might see something where I go, sorry mate, we can't get the chip for it.
Does that also mean that a certain manufacturer that has been gobbling up an awful lot of chip supplies will suddenly have an awful lot of almost new synths that can't be repaired ever again, so they're useless? If you know what I mean.
No, that's very much as an SMT orientated manufacturing process that they have. They have done some through-hole stuff. I think that Latvian company they use has done the CA3080 op amps and AS Curtis remakes and stuff like that, but in limited amounts. And it all dries up pretty quick because the actual turnover of these ICs is enormous in terms of how long they can last and bang here and there.
So if one of the manufacturers that's capable of making them but has stopped were to retool just to do a one-off run or to have that available, is there enough demand worldwide for one manufacturer to keep on making them? Even at a much more expensive price. And would so let's just say instead of being £1, it started costing instead of 25 for £3.25, you're suddenly paying a £5 for each chip. Would that be something that once you roll it into your repairs, people would still be willing to pay?
Well, it might.
I think one day, sorry to butt in there, but I think one day people would be willing to pay £50 each because the synth's gone without it, isn't it?
Yeah, but
I think there's something
when you start getting repair bills, like for instance, you've got one voice gone on your synth, right? Say it's let's say it's something like a Jupiter 8, for instance. Got a voice gone, right? And your 3046 VCO core has gone on it, and it's through hole. Once that chip is not available or readily available anymore, I mean, you can lift it from other boards, but you're going to be lifting 40, 50-year-old chips and putting in and hope that they don't pack up 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Because I've had to do that before. That's not unusual, and sometimes they carry on working, and a lot of the time they come back because they go, it's got the same problem again. You check it, and the very, very old chip you put in it's gone. No, I'm not doing all this again. Thank you. Good night. So I don't know. Demand will be reducing for through hole, and has been constantly anyway, as people move on to surface mount, because it is cheaper. It's more convenient. You can make things smaller. So
let's just take,
only a
for
nutcase is
instance,
going to want to set up a factory now to start making through hole.
So if a Jupiter 8 came in and someone had, how unlimited funds to do it because the price is suddenly going back up, would you be able to physically replace the entire circuitry with SMB?
Yes and no. It'd be a little bit more complicated than that. Because if you do replace that, then you've got to replace how it's powered as well. So like Robbie was saying about with the like those Gotek units where you can replace the floppy in an E2, for instance.
Yeah.
And you could do that kind of thing. But like I pointed out, that floppy is only 12% or so of what the synth is. So you're replacing that one little critical part, and obviously it will work with it because it's very similar in its design. But if you had to replace the board that's in the E2, if it was SMT technology, the power supply is going to not be suitable to run it.
So essentially you'd have to manufacture from scratch a completely new build of a new Jupiter 8. It would be a Jupiter 8 but with completely new guts, at which point why don't you just build a new Jupiter 8 or get the new one, or do it's kind of...
Get the plug-in, yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
Ato says in the chat, right, Analog Renaissance, right, he's a lovely geezer. I buy hundreds of those VCA chips for 106s. And I know some techs do two prices where they go, oh, you can have the new chips, full set of the new chips, or we will acetone the old ones for you. But, don't know whether they work or not, sort of thing. And they got two prices of those, and about 100 quid between the two prices. And that's fine, because that was the common fault on a 106. You'd lose one of these, VCAs, and the voice would go. But as soon as you take one out, you can guarantee within 2 weeks the voice next to it bloody goes. So the best thing to do is to replace all six. Fine. But, what about all the other ICs that are on that board?
Yeah.
All the other ICs that are passing all the signals and control voltages around for those VCAs to work. It's.
I think probably one of the big issues there is that we're so far removed from the birth of these things that the accomplishments that were made in building things like the Jupiter, the CS, even the Prophet to a certain extent, but the Moogs, all of the ARPs. The accomplishment of just getting those to work at all was enormous. It's like sending someone to the moon. It was an extraordinary accomplishment, and that's all going to get lost again, isn't it? At some point, unless there's another way to do it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Well, I know.
It's a shame.
The price of vintage analog's been going through the roof anyway, but that'll only be. A quick, that's just a quick fix in terms of the prices that repairs will end up being. But when these things become real liabilities, people are going to desire them less.
Yeah. So someone's paid 15 grand for a JP8, and then suddenly it starts breaking down. There are no chips, and you say, well, yeah, I can do an SMB version of this and rebuild the whole thing, put in a new power supply. It won't have the same internals, but it's going to cost you almost the same again to do that, if not more. And you paid 15 for it. Just swallow it, or you're going to have something that no one's going to pay 30 or 40 for.
Yeah.
Or are they?
And what you're going to end up with, as I said to Kent yesterday, is you're going to end up with a room like this full of what you can call Schrodinger's keyboards.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a point where I'm going to go, I'm just not going to turn that on. I'll use the plug-in instead, because all the while I haven't turned it on, it's still working.
Yeah.
until that time I do, and then it doesn't, and then it can't be repaired, and so it's a scary time.
Well, I mean, if you lost one of those 34 series operator processors that are in that DX1, and there's a few of them, but you'd lose one of them, right? You're going to have to buy another DX to be able to get the chip to put in it to get it to work.
Yeah.
So now if you're looking at a working DX7, I mean they're fetching reasonable money these days anyway, aren't they?
£400 or £500 at least. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think the DX7 has the 34 series in it. I'm trying to remember.
Does the 5?
The 5 is the same.
The 5
as the
might, the 5 might have, I think the 5 might have the 34 series in it. So you'd have to buy DX5, but it'd have to be a working DX5.
Yeah.
I've got one.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, how much are they
mine.
worth? How much are they worth now?
I've
Three.
no
On
idea.
average?
About three
About
grand.
three. All right. So you're looking at minimum three grand repair bill. Yeah. Now it starts. Now, how desirable is a DX1? Right. When I started restoring CS80s, I used to do all the electronics, Retolex, do the whole works to them, and they would like just come out of the shop. And the job I used to charge £850. Right?
You're joking.
And there's 850 quid, and there's my and my little wedge on top, right? My little wedge on top's got a little bit bigger, not a great deal, but it's a little bit bigger. But now a full restore on an 80 is 5.5k, and that's because of the price of everything that has gone up, and it all adds up. They think, the price of chips hasn't gone up much. Yes, start adding them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the price of the Tolex and the price of import duties and stuff like that, and the morons that thought it was a good idea that we should leave the second biggest bloody market on the planet, and then so we got additional import duties and stuff like that if we want to get something from just Spain, from France, which let's face it, you could hit France with a bleeding brick from here. It shouldn't cost too much to allow it into the country, but it does.
So here we go. Let's try and find a positive spin on this, because everyone's
Very
getting
quickly, because we've got one more subject to do.
Yeah, we've got. It's a very, very depressing thing to think that this might happen. What we do know is a lot of the manufacturers are. We hope, we had a talk about this last night as well. We hope bringing out versions of hardware that might just emulate, in their own way, their own classic synth. So, hopefully, we all hope that a CS80, a new CS80, or something 80, will be coming out from Yamaha, or at least that capability in a hardware package. So there's still room for essentially what we're after. We all love the original instruments, but if a new instrument does exactly the same plus, I think we'd all be very, very happy bunnies. I'd be buying one tomorrow. So although it's a shame for the old vintage things, there's still an awful lot of synths out there that don't need these chips, or that will last for a good while longer, and in the meantime we can be buying new things. So let's try and stay a little bit positive, despite Kent's pension plan going out the window.
Well, quite.
Well, I imagine all my spare boards will go up in value, and I'll retire a millionaire.
Yeah.
So
that's
I just
positive
won't
mental
be
attitude
repairing synths to get there. So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's all very interesting.
it's something to think about if anybody's considering going. Oh, do you know what? I really fancy one of those JP8s. I know it's 28 grand, but it should be fun. But
very soon it could be 28 grand just to repair it.
Yeah.
Scary times. Well, we'll keep an eye on that situation. Hopefully, someone somewhere. That was the note that I ended on with you yesterday. Was that hopefully, what we've seen in certain areas of keeping these old things alive, and I refer to the disk drive replacements, which, as you rightly point out, is a small part of the instrument. At least those things we've managed to come up with suitable replacements that will just drop in and work, and the instrument sees it as it saw the old thing. Hopefully there'll be some smart buggers out there who can knock something up to take care of this. And I'm kind of enthused when you think about all the other vintage markets out there, not in just synthesizers, but vintage cars, vintage other things. There always tends to be a little cottage industry that pops up to help support these, whether it's a cooperative of some degree. So maybe that's I don't know. Maybe we can do that. As a community, we can sort of find the clever people and do that. If Mr. Beringer was watching, and I don't really want to go down that road, but I'm just saying, if he was watching, he could make an absolute killing here if he could set something up and become the sole manufacturer of through-hole chips again.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would then put himself into a lot of people's goods books. But anyway, that's by the by. Answers on a postcard. Let us know in the comments. We've had certainly in the live comments, but if you're watching this on catch up and you have any crazy ideas, stick them down, or good ideas even, stick them down in the comment section below.
And one last thought, just for everyone thinking about selling their collection: not yet, because this is things may yet change, and I think it would be precipitous to think.
Oh yeah, no, this is me standing on a hill far away, going, "Be careful."
Yeah. This is your early warning system.
Yeah.
Early warning system.
Don't jump in. Think about
very
it.
quickly, Ken, because this, I said I'm not going to be turning, some of those synths on very soon. And I know that Robert in the chat said, you turn them on every now and again to keep those capacitors happy. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What's your advice in that regard?
It's a bloody question. It swings and roundabouts, and it depends on the individual synth as well. If it's a memory moog, it falls into the same category as women's shoes. Just don't wear them. That way they'll be okay. They'll last you forever. If there's a bit of digital stuff going on and there's big capacitors in it, turn them on now and again. Ideally, turn it on and leave it on forever.
Yeah. That's the
if
thing.
you can, Yeah. So, it swings and roundabouts. Use your use what you feel works for you.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. We are going to move on to our final discussion topic. Before I do, though, I missed this when we were talking about it. But when we were talking about the Carbon 8 from Modal, Mike comes in with, if a certain company could make you throw it out of the window, it would be a defenestrate.
Oh.
Or is that a...
That's the harsher one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one I always aim for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed.
You have been rewarded with the tumbleweed. No, very good. Thank you for that. I should also mention, before we do anything else, our wonderful moderators, of course, one of which is Andy Synth Addict. Yep. Thank you for your donation. And yes, Brett Domino, who I think still does a few, or the guy that plays Brett Domino still does a few gigs here and there. It's very good. It's highly musical, very clever stuff. He did a demo with a stylophone beatbox back in 2009. There's the link. But yeah, there you go. Thank you for your donation. Of course, thank you also to Ben from Musings. I haven't seen Mr. Brooks in the room tonight. I think he's e-momming, isn't he?
He's out.
Yeah, he's in Blackpool. Yeah. So that's why you don't see him. But I'm going to say thank you to him anyway, because he's a moderator. So thanks to all of our moderators. And thank you also to Peter for your £10 donation. Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much indeed. We appreciate that very much. And I will get back to your email, Peter. Don't worry. I am... Hopefully next week I'll be a little quieter. Not much, but a little quieter. So I'll be able to sort of get back to you on that. Anyway, one last thing that I wanted to talk about was another sort of discussion topic, old men waving their fists at clouds kind of thing. I know a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy this guy. Some people do. I personally do have a lot of time for him. And that is Ben Jordan, who has some very interesting things to say, not least in this particular video, which I won't play because I don't want to get copyright struck or anything like that. But he was contesting or putting it out there that physical modelling has gotten really good to the point where we really don't start to need big sample libraries anymore. And I often have similar discussions along this line because physical modelling, kind of came and went. It came at the wrong time, didn't it? In the 90s, when sampling was getting really cheap and easy to do, physical modelling comes along and says, I can pretend to be this thing very, very accurately, except it couldn't quite do that, and sampling just became very ubiquitous and cheap and affordable, and it just took the mantle of being able to replicate acoustic instruments better than the modelling does. But nowadays, physical modelling is getting incredibly good. And, whilst there is a lot, as Ben points out in here, with a lot of sample libraries, you have to rely on key switching to get the right articulations, etc., etc., etc. With physical modelling, as Kent and I have demonstrated when playing that Bohemian violin and Bohemian cello, harmonic stuff.
Yeah.
Now, there is a little bit of sampling in there, but it's mostly modelling. And it takes up a tiny footprint compared to what you would expect for that instrument. You don't even have to worry about key switching, although there is some key switching in there.
If you want.
Just picks up on your performance. And now with MPE being a thing, it will pick up on much more of your performance for those those detailed articulations, those very fine differences in tone and timbre and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there for the last 10-15 minutes. Does the panel think that sampling has had its day when it comes to replicating acoustic instruments, and physical modelling has now reached a point where it can actually stick its hand up and lay claim to being the best possible way of doing this?
No.
Who wants first dibs?
No.
No? Why not?
No.
I'll have a go.
Oh, go on then.
Go on.
Yeah, I don't think that the only thing that's going to be a problem with sampling from now on, it isn't storage, because storage is just not really going to be an issue, is it? As we move forward, as things, you're going to be able to get like a 20 terabyte SSD for like £100 one day. It's not. It's not. Oh, you are.
Yeah. You are.
I paid.
You are.
I paid £300 for a 20 megabyte hard drive in the early days. So it's just the story. You'll get that on an SD card one day. But it's the development time. I think that's the only. I don't think. I mean, you've got like massive downloads. If somebody buys like the latest Spitfire library and they're downloading it for like 28 hours, they can just, buy this like physical modelling version of with equal sound, and they're probably going to go for that convenience-wise. But it's development time that's being saved. Really, I know that like. It's going to take a while to produce the software to do the physical modelling, but nowhere near the amount of time as it's going to do to multi-sample every single element of an instrument or an orchestra or whatever. And then you've got to lay that all out, with your velocity switching, your round robins and what have you. So I think from the developer's point of view, the physical modelling thing is much preferable, and I think we will reach a point where it is far superior to sampling. Sampling may become like a bit of a retro thing, It's got like actual sample sounds.
Well, sampling can be used in so many more ways than it originally could, because we've got things like granular sampling nowadays, where it's doing something that pretty much not a lot else can do, because you're having to you're taking an audio sample and then you're kind of digging into it down to a very tiny level, whereas sample libraries of orchestras, for example, it's a huge amount of effort. I mean, this is why things like Vienna costs what Vienna costs, is because the amount of time and effort, not just sampling a full orchestra in an expensive space, but then all of the work that goes on in terms of mapping those samples and the articulations and the just managing all of that. I mean, I think didn't they say like BBC SOs, the Spitfire BBC SO was over 1 million samples. That's a heck of a lot of stuff to manage, all the different layers, velocities, intonations, articulations, playing styles, all of this kind of stuff all had to be mapped and managed, and it's just bonkers. Whereas with physical modelling, you're just saying, okay, well, this is what a violin does, and you do that, you create that model, and then you can have 6 instances of that running, and every time you play a part on that, it's going to be different because it's responding live to your performance. Whereas with a sample library, even with some of the best ones, you're quite often going to be playing the same notes in your in a very short space of time, even with round robins turned on.
And I should imagine as well that, like, if you're going from a violin sample to a viola sample, the development process has got to start from scratch. But it's only slight tweaks to the physical modelling.
I still think that physical modelling has an Achilles heel, though. There are certain sounds that physical modelling does not do well.
Such as
human voice, for instance. It's not not great. There are. I mean, what was that one I had? It was physical modelled, and although it was accurate in its articulations, the core sound just wasn't anywhere near as good as what I could have got from the Spitfire library. So it's like the nuances that you can have with sampling, especially the quality of stuff like that Spitfire does, for instance. These nuances, these frequencies that you can get on particular keys that you're not going to get from the physical modelling. Yeah, so it's Dominus, my Dominus choir. I did what was that? I can't remember the name of this bloody thing. It was a physical modelled choir, and Dominus knocked it into a cocked hat. No problem. It's just sampling is just better with some sounds. As to what those sounds are, from my experience, I find some that are great. But there again, like the Philharmonic stuff, the solo cello, the solo violin, it's nailing it. But what's Philharmonic like with doing, 70 violins?
Well, I mean, to their credit, actually, Philharmonic are actually a very good example. And if nobody's tried any of their libraries, they are very good. But they actually blend the two things. There are samples in there, but there's also a huge amount of modelling going on as well. So it's kind of the best of both worlds, which is why when you watch some of those, and acoustic samples do it as well with their brass stuff, and when you watch some of those side-by-side videos where they get somebody to play a piece on an actual trumpet, and then they A/B it, and they switch between the two live, it is incredibly difficult to separate the two. It's kind of stuff. Yes, please.
So, this is a little sort of labyrinthine, but as with so much else we've discussed in regards to music technology at the moment, we're on step probably 5 of the 10 that we need to get physical modelling to where it needs to be. It's very good. Some physical modelling stuff is amazing. The problem with it is that you have to learn to play it, and you really need to have the kind of keyboard with MPE and all that kind of stuff to really get the most out of it, to make it work and sound like a real instrument, because a violin is not fretted. It's not fretted, so you're kind of stuck with that. So you have to learn to play something that's not fretted, or an Osmos or a Roly. You have to learn to adapt, and then you have to understand what the instrument sounds like, and then you have to get into the expression of it all. And for some people, there will always be sampling, because guess what? They're not going to learn or want to learn or be able, I think everyone's able to learn, but they're not going to want to learn to put that expressivity in. And if there's a good enough sample library that gives you, I want it to sound like that thing, the Interstellar, or I want it to sound like Maurice Jarre, or like, the Pastoral Symphony that bit there. And there will be samples that do that and give you that broad brushstroke which sounds amazing, which if you're playing individual physically modelled things, you'd have to do the 70 of those to get it, and it still wouldn't be quite right, because guess what? An orchestra plays, they learn to play at the same kind of vibrato. You get that wonderful thing. The tunings are slightly different, and they're all different instruments, by the way. An orchestra isn't formed of, the string section isn't formed of 20 of identical violins. They're not. So that's, getting those to blend is part of the trick of being a conductor and being a player in those sections, right? So where we are is really odd. And Kent's right, some of the physically modelled stuff, especially around voice and some other bits, even with some of the pianos, is not that great. What was really interesting, I watched Ben's video, and at about, let me just have a look, 8 minutes in, he does the first of his, can we make physical modelling sound better than sampling? And he does a piece, and he says, I defy anyone to tell me that's not real. And as soon as I heard it, I went, it's not real. It's not. There's no dynamic in it. You can hear that it's played on a keyboard. You can hear it's not the real instruments. You can hear it straight away. Each of the sounds works, but the overall thing is just, meh, no. So with physical modelling, I think one of the things that's going to happen with it is when it gets to the point where AI can intervene and say, okay, I can see what you're playing here, and you want to apply that to what? A string section? So you've done a solo violin piece, or you've played a piano piece. Do you want us to put the expression in that? Who do you want it to sound like? Like the Vaughan Williams piece? Oh, like that, okay. It will then add the expression to make it sound like that, which is essentially doing what the sample libraries do. That will come, but there will always be a place for sampling. And right now, physical modelling is good, but it's actually fairly niche in being able to be used and applied in the way that sample libraries currently are. Sample libraries aren't going away just yet. They're not.
No. Physical modelling seems to have a strength with the solo instrument anyway.
Yeah, it does.
Right. So, I mean, when you use it on, say, acoustic guitar, if you do a big jump on the keyboard from one key to the next, the engine goes, all right, well, if he's going from this string to that string, but it's, it's up here, I'll put in a slide on it that wouldn't be there with the sample. So the idea that it puts in the articulations where they should be, depending on what you've played, actually it makes it easier to play using physical modelling, but on the solo instrument. So as you know, with the cello and the violin on the via harmonic stuff, you do certain movements, you'll get a slide, or you'll get even the what do you call it, the vibrato. When you apply the vibrato, it's done in such a way that's more human than an LFO would, a standard single running LFO would do. There'll be variation in the speed waveform. So it is good. It's got a way to go still. But I don't think so. I think sampling will blend with it rather than become a separate entity that becomes.
They don't have to be mutually exclusive, do they?
Exactly.
I was looking at the Virtuoso 2000 we put together back in 2000, which is a 128 voice rack mount orchestra in a module. And everyone went, really? It's amazing. And the thing is, though, to make it work, when you just play it, it got a lot of criticism when it was released, because when you played it, it didn't sound right. and we had to do a whole bunch of programming. We introduced all these new chords, and we actually, I've got it sounding absolutely amazing. It sounds almost like it's physically modelled, because you can apply all these different things. You switch between samples, you add stuff in, you even use synthetic waveforms, and with things like overblowing, you can do that just by using the mod wheel, that kind of stuff. So we've always faced these challenges of how to articulate, and it's been doing it for a long time. Physical modelling will have its day. It really will. And, as I think Thane MLH has said, it's coming faster than we think, and that's probably the case, but I'll wait to see. But, it is coming. But I can't see, but some people will never quite get the physical modelling thing. They just won't want to. The sample libraries will still give them that richness of someone else's performance, and that's what it is. It's someone that knows how to playing the things that you're hearing coming out the speakers.
I've been corrected as well. Apparently, producing a sample library is much quicker than making a physical model of something. So my argument's out the window.
I think maybe this is where AI technology, and I don't want to go too far. I don't want to go there because we're out of time anyway. But yeah, we've spoken about AI a lot in music this year, because it has kind of blown up in many regards. But maybe this is where AI can be useful, and when you're employing AI as far as maybe articulation is concerned with a physical model, and you're taking AI technology, as Andrew said, type in, I want to play something in the style of, and then you name a performer or a composer or whatever, and the instruments that play it in that style, play your music in that style, are modelled instruments, and then everything's being, done, in software, so to speak, rather than manipulating what, regardless of, whether it's a Spitfire library or something that you've just knocked up together, they're finite collections of sounds, whereas a physical model can do pretty much anything, because it's not relying on pre-recorded stuff. It's doing it all live. So maybe that's where AI can come in and
I agree.
Make a difference.
I think that's right. That's right.
Anyway, we've gone over time, and thank you. That's two very interesting discussion topics. We should do that more, I think. So if you have a suggestion for a discussion topic, do let us know. Either let us know in the chat here, or you can let us know on our Facebook page. If you haven't already joined us over there, come and find us on Facebook. We're at ProSynth Network, and then you can leave your suggestions there, and we'll stick them on the list and pick them out and use them one by one as and when we can. Right, so let me think. So before we go, I've just got to say that next week we've got this guy coming on the show, Anthony Marinelli, who has worked on a huge amount of stuff. He has been very gracious with his time, and he's going to come and join us for the whole 2 hours of the show, and we're just going to nerd out on synthesizers. He's going to be in the studio. We're hoping he's going to have something hooked up so he can give us some live demonstrations. He's got a guy coming in, an engineer, to take care of all of the technical things, so he'll be hands-free, he'll be able to do stuff. So I'm looking forward to that one. Fingers crossed that all goes well. So come and join us next Friday at 7 p.m. UK time. But if you think you might forget, just hit that subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you will get told when the show is live and when it's coming up, and you can then do what you need to do to prepare and come and watch what I think will be a fantastic show. So please do come and join us for that one. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Kent, you're going to be fixing that GS1 this weekend so that I can come round on Wednesday and play that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Make it so.
Just get
Make it so.
Oh, no, I've got to be able to have a little go on that.
Okay.
Apart from the GS1, anything else that you're looking forward to be doing?
Yes, I'm going to be doing some writing.
Okay.
Oh,
And
good.
some-
Musical
and some
writing.
musical writing, and some musical
Lovely.
recording-y things.
That's
Excellent
good.
stuff. Look forward to hearing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Look forward to hearing
and all the other keyboards can go to hell. Until next week.
Excellent. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Ben, are you gigging?
No, I am. I was actually going to Liverpool tomorrow to watch the football with some friends, but then I found out it isn't being televised, so I'm going to Liverpool in the afternoon with no football match to watch.
Where are they playing? They're not playing at Anfield then?
Yeah, it is at Anfield, but you can't get in there. It's like dead man's boots. Like you no chance of getting in there. But I never got a chance to ask my question.
Oh, go on.
Do you remember?
Oh.
And I'm not going to ask it, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it as a poll in the Facebook group.
Okay.
So I am thinking about doing what I imagine 99% of our community would think unthinkable. And I want people's opinion on it. So
okay.
I will ask that in the group.
Is it that
Okay.
penis enlargement again?
No, can't do that again. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you got to be able to walk.
So if you want to know what Ben's question is, and if you want to cast your opinion on it, come and join us at the Facebook group.
It really is quite shocking.
Okay. Ooh.
Does it involve olive oil? Or Nivea?
No.
Okay, good.
Intrigued.
Not necessarily. Yes. It could be, though.
I'm intrigued. And I don't even know what it is. Andrew, much lined up for you?
This weekend, we're hoping to get in the garden for a bit, maybe for a glass of wine, a little bit of bobbling around. And then I've got a huge number of tracks that have been sitting around for a million years that I've been meaning to finish off. They were always created for the live sets we do. So there's always bits missing, solos and God knows what else and stuff. And I'm just starting to consolidate those. So I think I'm going to start giving that some attention this weekend. Looking forward to it.
Cool. Nice one. I've just seen Brad has just turned up in the chat from Isla Instruments over there in Florida.
Florida.
He's an Essex boy, living it large, the old panhandle. If you want to kill 3 hours of time, it's very it was really therapeutic watching Brad build the first prototype of his Caladan synth, and it's just him at his bench doing lots of soldering, a little bit of swearing, and generally, it was good fun. And I learned a couple of things that soldering really is a huge skill. And what was the other thing I learned? Oh, the other thing I learned was that if you want ROHS badges on your electrical equipment, you have to send it off to get tested. And once they've done all the main tests, they take it and they blend it. Literally, they grind it down and measure all the things that come off of it. And Brad was saying that he's just had his S2400 go through that to get ROHS approval. And he's going to ask them if he can get it all back in a jar. I want to see an S2400 in a jar. I think that'd be rather fascinating. So that was quite fun. But yeah, go and check out Isla Instruments.
I've got an OBX here that needs testing.
There you go. You can stick it in the blender.
Yep. put it in a washing up bowl.
There you go. Smash it.
GX1.
No, we don't do that. Kent, apparently, by the way, Brad might need to tap you up for info about this quadra he's got on the bench.
Oh,
so,
okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, we know what's wrong
go.
with it. It says quadra on the back.
It says quadra on the bench.
Yeah.
Message from Wagyu, which we absolutely do get behind, is please go over to watch the Geosynths EMOM or the after party. I don't know whether if you've not been watching or whatever. Go and check it out. It's an EMOM that's going on in Blackpool at the moment. Talking of other shows, of course, I'm not sure if Jamie's going to be up for doing a Sunday show. If he is, that'd be great. He normally does them around 6 p.m. UK time now. But tomorrow afternoon, Ramsey is on at 2 p.m. UK time. He's just taken delivery of some Widdies, and so he's going to be messing around with those and experimenting with those on the show tomorrow, which should be fun. So that's Saturday, Sunday. What else? Well, obviously Wednesday, Sonic State. And then we'll be back here next Friday with, of course, Anthony Marinelli. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone that's been in the chat today and giving it large. Final shout out goes to this lovely person, Thane MLH, for $10 donation. Superb. Thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. If you want to watch us on catch up, all the shows, all 176 of them now, are available on our YouTube channel, along with some other bits and bobs and what have you. Do please go and check all of those out. And for everyone that's in England, don't forget Sunday, World Cup final, Women's World Cup final.
Yes, of course. That's
Come on, ladies.
Yeah.
Sorry, Australia, not. But England versus Spain.
Hell of a goal, though.
Oh,
look at the Rugby World Cup coming up.
Got a bit of a deflection. But no, it's Women's World Cup final on Sunday. So that's going to be a superb watch.
It's a better game.
But,
the women's game is better, mate, all day long.
It is. I agree.
Really good.
I wouldn't say it's better. I think it's as good.
No,
as.
it's better.
No,
I think it's better. It's more
none has to be
entertaining.
better or worse.
It's much
I think
rougher.
they're all good. Actually, it has come on leaps and bounds. But anyway, yes, put me off there. I was just thinking about the football. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone. I will see you all same time, same place next week with most of these guys, I hope. And, of course, Anthony Marinelli. Kent, I will see you in person on Wednesday, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So I will be up. Not too early, so don't worry about that. And, have a fantastic week. Have a
And
brilliant
thank you
weekend.
to the. We had some brilliant contributions this week. Really good.
From the chatties, yeah.
Yeah, from the chatties. Thank you, chatties.
Absolutely. Superb, as
Well done.
always. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit that like button, do it now. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And share the link around if you think it's worth sharing. But thanks ever so much to everyone that has contributed via chat and all those other things. And thank you very much. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Goodbye.
Bye bye.